This problem is a quadratic application, but this time we're finding the time to the ground, which is basically the zeros, using quadratic formula. Okay, so let's read through this one. A cell phone falls off a balcony. Its height in feet is given by the formula h of t equals negative 16t squared plus 6t plus 110, where t is measured in seconds. How long will it take the cell phone to hit the ground? Run your answer to 3 decimal places. All right, let's look at what does this actually look like in real life. So here is a person on a building, okay? And I mean, obviously we're doing it off a balcony. So pretend that's the balcony. Here's their cell phone. It falls. It hits the ground. Okay? And honestly, it probably shatters. Okay? So here's the kicker here. This is not asking for maximum. Okay? We previously talked about finding the max height. But that person is the max height. Okay? Where it starts, that is the tallest that's going to be. So now we're thinking about, okay, when it hits the ground, this is saying how long will it take the cell phone to hit the ground? What is the height at the ground? What is the height at the ground? Think about it. Okay, so the height of the ground, there's no height, so it's 0. So the height of the ground is 0. So this is basically saying how long does the cell phone take to hit the ground when the height is 0. That's when it hits the ground, okay? So this is basically saying find the zeros. Find the zeros of this function. And remember, finding the zeros is setting it equal to 0 and solving. So we have negative 16t squared plus 6t plus 110, set it equal to 0. Now, if I wanted to solve this by factoring, I could certainly try to do that. I can tell you by trying to do that it's not possible. This is not factorable. Yeah, there's a GCF that comes out, but after that, it doesn't result in a quadratic that's factorable. So this means that I'm going to have to use the quadratic formula. Okay, so A in this problem is negative 16, B is 6, C is 110. Let's use our quadratic formula. So this is negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. All right, plugging in, we have negative 6 plus or minus the square root of 6 squared minus 4 times a, which is negative 16, times c, which is 110. All over 2 times a, which is negative 16. Okay, so I'm going to kind of do the same thing. If you've seen my previous video of quadratics, we're going to simplify inside or under that radical first. So negative 6 plus or minus the square root of something over 2 times negative 16 is negative 32. Now take your calculator, double check it with me. So we've got 6 squared minus 4 times negative 16 times 110. This gives me 76. Okay, now I know some of you, because I kind of taught it this way, I know some of you are going to try to simplify the square root of 76 and get a decimal. My advice is not to do that. And the reason is because of rounding. When we round too soon in the problem, it ends up basically giving us an answer that's not quite as accurate as we need it to be. So what I would do at this point is go ahead and separate your answers. You've got negative 6 plus the square root of 76 over negative 32. And then we have negative 6 minus the square root of 76 over negative 32. And I want you to find the answers this way. Now, normally we would just kind of stop with the radical and simplify the radical, but here we need practical numbers. We need to know how long, what's the seconds, okay? And so we need actual decimals here, and this is going to allow us to do it in the most accurate way possible. One other quick note when you do this, I would recommend in your calculator doing negative 6 plus the square root of 76 and hit enter at that point. Then divide by negative 32. Otherwise, the calculator is going to give you the wrong answer, okay? So when I do that for this first one, I end up getting negative, and we're doing 3 decimals here, so negative 2.441 for this one. Let's do the same thing on the next one. So negative 6 minus the square root of 7076, enter, divided by negative 32, enter. And I get 2.816 on this one. Now I've got 2 answers here. Which one's right, or are they both right? I don't know. Let's talk it through. We are dealing with a cell phone that falls off the balcony, and we are asked how long will it take the cell phone to hit the ground. So we are dealing in time. Can time be negative? Not that we know at this point. Maybe we will figure that out in the future, okay? But we can't go back in time. So that means that this negative answer is not the answer, and our actual answer is 2.816 seconds. Okay, so we want the positive answer there. All right, one other thing. How do you know you're doing quadratic formula on this? Because it says hit the ground. Okay, this could also say hits the surface of the ocean. Anytime you're hitting the height 0, whether that be on the ocean or the ground, that means quadratic formula. Okay, so that is when you see the problem, that's what you're looking for to know I'm doing the quadratic formula on this one.